In the last stream, we were working on setting up new flowers in the Nether to generate mana using redstone flux to allow us to get our orchid ignim up and running. And since the end of the last stream, which was quite a while ago now, the pack has updated, and I'm happy to report that there is actually now an end to the pack. Previously, we had the Elemental Craft questline, which we have started working towards. We had the Hostile Neural Networks questline, which I don't think looked quite like this. I think they've changed the end here. But before, there was nothing in the Blazing questline here. Now, there is a final end to this pack, and it looks like our goal is to rid the world of snow, kind of to heat the world up from its current frozen wasteland status. The final quest right here is to make the weather catalyst, and it says use this on the weather changer to ride this world. Sorry, I think I was supposed to say to rid this world of the snow that falls. So that is now our end goal for the mod pack that we can actually achieve, because the pack is now fully out. Version 1.0 has been released. But before we get too ahead of ourselves, what I want to work on in today's stream is two things. One, I would like to get power, both for our energized areas here, the flowers that turn power into mana, so that we can fully automate the production of all of these resources, things like nether quartz, diamonds, coal, and netherite. But I also want to get a power source up and running in the overworld as well, because right now we just have like one Sterling dynamo that we keep moving from machine to machine to machine every time we want to get some power, which does work, but is not particularly sustainable in the long run, and is also a little bit tedious, and also kind of prevents us from making our machines faster with augmentation, because the Sterling dynamo on its own can't produce that much power. Another thing that I want to work on is I would like to finally get these block breaker, block placer systems, like our resource generation system, fully automated. Because right now, we can make some iron pickaxes or diamond pickaxes, whatever it is that we want, and we can place them into the block breakers, and they will start breaking blocks, but eventually the pickaxes break, and currently we have no way of getting new pickaxes into the block breaker, and so unless we want to keep manually filling these up, we need to set up a system that will automatically replace the broken pickaxes. Thankfully, the pack makers did think of this, and the same mod that adds the block breaker and the block placer, that being the Opolis Utilities mod made by pack maker Ben, does add a repairer. This thing right here, an item repairer. This is a super powerful item that just repairs tools. You put a tool in there, and at no cost at all, there's no power cost, there's no item cost, there's no any cost, it just repairs items. It is a little expensive, at least for our current resource system. We've got 145 iron, and each one of these item repairers requires 2 anvils, which is going to be a fair amount of iron given what we've got. We can do it. We do have what it takes to make, I believe, 6 iron blocks, and then from there we should be able to make 2 iron anvils, along with, ideally, 1 smithing table. Copper is what we'll use there, just because we have more of it than iron now, and boom, that gets us the item repairer. You'll see that did use almost half of the iron that we have, and so we don't currently have enough iron to make 4 of these, which is, I think, ideally what we would want in order to get each one of these block breakers connected to 1 item repairer, because although it is free, the downside to it being free is that it is a little bit slow. If we press F3H, we get to see advanced tooltips, and if we hover over this here, we can see the durability is currently at 161 out of 250. So you can break a maximum of 250 blocks with an iron pickaxe normally. If I put this in here, we'll see that it slowly but surely repairs itself. 162, 163, 164. It's getting repaired, and eventually, when it gets up to 250 durability, it will move permanently to the output slot. And so my thought process here is that if we set up one of these for each of these block breakers, and ideally one for the block breaker that we have in the Nether as well, because we are going to be breaking blocks there automatically, hopefully, once we have mana generation up and running, then we can have fully automated resource generation. So my thought process here is to set it up in such a way that we pull the iron pickaxe out once it hits a certain durability, and then we put it into the item repairer. That's going to then repair it to full durability, and then we want to pipe it back down into the block breaker to be used. Again, the trouble with this is that we need to be able to filter for specifically broken pickaxes. And so by default, the item pipes from pipes don't have this capability. If I were to, for example, set this to extract, and I were to look in here, the option to add a filter is grayed out, and if we did want to add the functionality to allow the item pipe to specifically pull out a iron pickaxe with a specific durability, we would need a pretty high tier pipe upgrade. I'm fairly certain that we would need the advanced pipe upgrade to make that happen, and the advanced pipe upgrade is quite expensive. It requires 4 diamonds in total, and again, if we wanted to get, let's say, 5 of these, 4 for here and 1 for the nether, that would be 20 diamonds. I have done a little bit more of this frozen netherrack transforming with the orchid ignima in the nether between streams, but you'll see that we're mostly getting nether quartz ore from that. I only got 2 frozen diamond ore, which is a guaranteed 4 diamonds, so we could, if we wanted to, make 1 advanced pipe upgrade, but again, I don't think it's really sustainable because we would need so many more diamonds to get this going with all of the other block breakers. And so instead, I think what we're going to do is we're going to pivot over and instead tinker around with the laser IO mod. This is a similar mod to pipes in that it allows you to move items, fluids, and energy, but it does so in a bit of a different way, and more importantly for us, none of these crafting recipes require diamonds, at least none of the ones that we need. So at the heart of Laser IO is the raw logic chip. This is made with redstone, clay, gold nuggets, and a block of quartz. Again, we have a lot of frozen quartz here. I will actually get that into one of these furnaces just to get that cooking, but I'm also fairly certain that, yeah, we do have some nether quartz both in block form and in regular form available in the system here. I'll also do this, and once all that's smelted, we'll start putting that through the pulverizer to maximize our quartz output. But over here, we can go and get our first batch of raw logic chips. We can drop those into our blast furnace. I guess not, I might have to go into a regular furnace. That is fine, we have one right here, and as of last episode, we do now have time in a bottle, so we can do something like this. If we shift right click on our furnace, it's going to make it so much faster. Nice. I will make a few more of these actually and get those in there just to maximize on this 8x multiplier that we have. This doesn't last forever, by the way. It only lasts for a short period of time, but we do have a lot of time saved up in our bottle, mostly because of the fact that between streams I have spent a bit of time doing a bit more work on the base to try and make it look a little nicer. I've kind of redone this corridor here, and I've added this like arched roof to both sides of the base. But either way, back over here, we want to get one of these, the laser node. For that, we need a laser connector, and the laser connector, thankfully, super easy to make. We'll make a few of those, and then craft that up into a laser node. For that, we are going to need some glass pans, which we currently do not have. That is completely fine. Let's do something like this, and then let's do this. That should be everything for the node. It is indeed. And we're going to place that node right here. And this, along with some item cards, is going to allow us to pull from the block breaker up into the item repairer, and then kind of more importantly as well, it's also going to allow us to pull from the item repairer down into the block breaker through this one node. Whereas if we wanted to do this with item pipes, we would need one pipe going up from here into the item repairer, and then we would need like a second pipe coming out and going down into the block breaker. It's a small thing, but this room is already quite small, and I think the space saving that we get from Laser IO is just another reason to go with it over the item pipes. So in order to make this work, we need item cards. And the item cards, again, fairly straightforward. They need that logic chip with nether quartz, lapis, redstone, and gold. We are going to need 4 of these cards, 2 to insert and 2 to extract. We are missing a little bit of nether quartz, but thankfully we have already started processing that. And so if we just take the nether quartz from the pulverizer, that is everything for our 4th card. And I think at this point, all we need now is the basic filter. And the basic filter, again, fairly straightforward. Logic chip, glass pans, and iron bars, all of which we don't have. We just need some iron bars. Again, not going to be a problem. And boom. Nice. Okay, cool. So what we're going to do here is we're going to take, I think, a brand new iron pickaxe, which we don't have. That's fine. Let's go ahead and craft up a brand new pickaxe. Perfect. What we want to do is we want to take one of these item cards and set this to extract, which you can do by clicking this button in the top right. Again, you just take the card, right-click it in your hand, and in the top left, you can either set it to insert, extract, stock, or sensor. We want this to be extract. We're going to put a filter in here, and in the bottom right, this is the important thing. Right now, by default, it's set to ignore MBT. That means that it will ignore the durability of the pickaxe. If we set that to match NBT, now it will match the pickaxe. So if I put this in here, it will only extract iron pickaxes that have exactly 163 durability, which is what we want. But I'm going to set mine to full. I want it to only extract pickaxes that have got full durability, and we are going to put that in at the top here. So if we open up the node, there are 6 tabs: up, down, north, south, east, and west. For us, it's pretty straightforward. We want to pull from up, which is where the item repairer is. So up is where we're going to put the item card. Once the item card's in, by the way, you can right-click it to get back to that same interface if you want to modify it in the future. But now, this is set up in such a way that it is going to extract a fully repaired iron pickaxe from this item repairer. What we then want to do is take another item card, add another basic filter to it, set it again to match NBT with a fully repaired pickaxe, and this time we're going to put it in the down tab. And so now we have set up a system to where if I put a fully repaired pickaxe in here, it gets pulled down into the block breaker. Now, what I don't want to do is what I just did and start breaking it, because I think what I actually want to do is I want to take the iron pickaxe and I'm going to use it just once. I'm going to place down the frozen netherrack and I'm going to break the frozen netherrack. I'm then going to do kind of the same thing again here. We're going to set one of these to extract. We're going to add in the filter, match NBT, this time to a durability of 249, so 1 lower than max durability. We'll then do the same thing on the insert, add the filter, match NBT, and 1 lower than max durability. If we put these in, this time we want to do it the other way around. We want the insert card to go into the top, and we want the extract card to go in the bottom. And so now we have a system in place where we have an extract card that is going to pull a fully repaired pickaxe out of the item repairer and send it down to the block breaker. The block breaker will then instantly start using the block breaker to break anything that isn't frozen diorite. So in this case, it will be frozen silver ore or frozen iron ore. And then once it has broken one block, it should then get pulled back up into the item repairer to be repaired to full durability. And then that cycle should continue. It should constantly keep taking 1 tick of damage, getting repaired, 1 tick of damage, getting repaired, breaks a block, gets repaired, forever. The only problem we're going to run into is that currently the block breaker is far too fast. As you just saw, as soon as I put it in, it started tearing through the durability very quickly, and as of right now, I think it's faster than the extract module is. Thankfully, Laser.io does add card overclockers that we can use to make the card faster. Again, fairly straightforward stuff. We do need gold, which surprisingly we are out of, but we do have some frozen nether gold here, and so once again, let's throw that into the blast furnace, give that a quick tap with the time in a bottle, and then let's pulverize that over here to try and get some more gold dust that we can then smelt into gold ingots. Again, one of the things I want to fix today is the reliance on the Stirling generator for power. Again, we can make this faster, but if we do, we also have to make this faster to compensate, but that should get us some gold dust, which we can, of course, then drop into here, which is still already working faster as well. You love to see it, and hopefully that is going to somewhat quickly get us all of the gold that we need in order to make these card overclockers. However, I'm fairly certain that I am going to need 4 of these to get the speed that we need. And so we're probably either going to have to go back through to the nether and use our orchid ignium to get more nether gold ore, or alternatively, we are probably going to have to just get the snow out and once again use this block breaker to get a bunch of gold nuggets, because right now we are only going to have enough to make 3 card overclockers. If I were to go to the down section, go to the extract card and put these in, the way it works here is that over on the right hand side, currently this node is able to transfer 1 item every 20 ticks, which is 1 item every second. There are 20 ticks per second in Minecraft. By default, without cards, you can slow this down, so you can make it take 2 seconds or 3 seconds or 4 seconds, however long you want, but you can't speed it up. If I try to go below 20 ticks, it doesn't work. By the way, you can left click to make it go up, right click to make it go down, shift left click to make it go up by 10, shift right click to make it go down by 10, and I think if you control shift click, it goes up by loads. I didn't think about it by that much. And if you control click, it goes up by a stack, so it goes up by 64, so from 20 up to 84. Either way, if we put in the card overclocker, we can actually take this down to 10 ticks. So now it's going to move an item every half second, but I think if we want to be able to beat the speed of the block breaker here, we need to be able to extract every tick, every single tick that happens. So if I put in a third card, I think we can go down to 5. We can, but we need that 4th overclocker if we want to be able to get up to 1 tick per second. So what I will do is quickly do something like this to try and get a few more gold ingots worth of nuggets, at which point we can see if we can't make that last overclocker happen. Some of that gold, of course, is going to work its way down into here. That is perfect, and 59 is more than enough nuggets. Let's do something like this and like this. And now if we drop in the last card into here, we can now set this to 1 tick. And so I think that should work, because basically there are only 20 ticks per second, and the game only updates 20 times per second. So basically, as soon as this updates and breaks 1 block and takes it down to 249, this should instantly extract it up into the item repairer, repair it, and the cycle should repeat. It is going to be slower than it was before, but I think that's fine, because if we had all 4 block breakers working at full speed, our mana just would not be able to keep up. We are producing a lot, but it would be nowhere near enough. And so if we give this a try, we can put this in, it should get repaired, it should go down, and it didn't quite work as intended. That is not ideal. Let me try and figure out why that didn't work. Okay, so unfortunately that does not seem to have worked. I'm not quite sure why. I feel like it should have done, but the Twitch chat does have a interesting workaround here. If we change this, right now what we can do is we can take out the filter for the broken pickaxe. If we once again craft up a fully functioning iron pickaxe, and we are crafting a lot of these here, but it's hopefully going to be worth it. What we can do is we can change the extraction. Before, we had a whitelist that said pull it out once it hit 249 durability. Instead, what we can do is we can change it from allow to deny, and we can say extract everything that isn't a fully repaired pickaxe. So we still have match MBT set to allowed, but now we're basically telling this node to pull out any pickaxe that isn't fully repaired, which is perfect because it means that the breaker can use it a lot, but at some point the node is going to see that it's not got a fully repaired pickaxe in it, and it should suck it up and out. Let me see if that works. It's possible, actually, that the problem we might be running into might be one of insertion. Ooh, let me give this a try. If I put this back in here. Yeah, okay, no, so I think I understand the problem, actually. If we go back to this item card that is extracting, right now, over in the top left, you'll see this box says default. What we need to do, we can actually change this back to allow and to the pickaxe that has almost full durability. Let me take this, break it. That's at 249. I think the problem with this is that we need to change this extract card. Oh no, I think we need to change the insert card here, and we need to change this to up. And that's basically going to tell the node to insert it from the top. I think that's right. If I put this back in here, let's see if that works. That's going to repair the pickaxe. It should get sent down. It still didn't work. That's interesting. Let's try the other method again. Let's try extracting, disallow a fully repaired iron pickaxe. Does that work? That still doesn't work. We might have to extract from a different side as well. The sides can be a bit finicky sometimes on where it allows you to extract from. Oh, we do need to swap this as well, by the way. We need to swap this and say that this should disallow fully repaired pickaxes, but allow anything else. Okay, so that works, which is interesting, but that's fine. So now, if we put anything that's not a fully repaired pickaxe into here, it gets sucked out. That works just fine, and it gets repaired. Once it's fully repaired, which is going to take a little while here, it should then get sent down again. Let me see how a fully repaired pickaxe works here. See, there it pulled it out straight away. It does pull it out with 1 durability taken off, so I'm not quite sure why it didn't work before. It might have been something to do with setting the top card here to up instead of just having it set to default, because it does need to be set to up. But either way, I'm not going to question it. This setup is now working. The iron pickaxe is getting used once, repaired once, used once, repaired once, and so now we should have basically a slow rhythmic production of iron and silver. And I did specifically choose this frozen diorite block placer because I want to be able to get more iron, right? Iron is what we need in order to make more of these item repairers, and so having the iron be the thing that is being made automatically with the item repairer here is the best option. And so going forward, we're going to duplicate this exact setup 3 more times on each of these block breakers, and of course a 4th time over in the Nether as well. But before we do any of that, we do need to wait for more iron to come in, and so while we wait for that iron to come in, let's clear out our inventory and let's see if we can't get some power production up and running. So in terms of power, we actually don't have that many mods installed that allow us to generate power. There just aren't that many in the pack, and so I do think we are going to have to choose one of the dynamos from thermal expansion as our power generation system. There are a couple to choose from here, but I think the one that I'm probably going to go with is the lapidary dynamo, because this is a pretty powerful dynamo that can burn a bunch of different gems, basically, and turn them into power. And I think the gem that we're going to go for is lapis. Real quick, people are asking that I turn down the repairer. I don't know what, is it anvil use sound? Is that what that is? Yeah, I'll make it like 10%. So hopefully that's just a fair bit quieter. Either way, the lapidary dynamo here can turn lapis into power, and one piece of lapis gets you 40,000 RF. The lapidary dynamo itself is pretty easy to make. Right now, the only two things we don't have are a gold gear, along with yet another one of these redstone flux coils. Now, by default, do we have enough gold for that? Are we really out of gold completely? If so, that is not ideal. Did we have any left in here? We didn't. And I can't remember. We can, of course, get more gold, again, with more snow. Like, it is very doable. But hopefully this is not a problem that we're going to have to deal with for too much longer, because hopefully, before this episode is out, we're going to have fully automated the Orchid Ignium in the Nether as well. And so we should hopefully get Nether gold ore coming in fairly regularly. Until then, though, we are going to have to once again make another shovel. I'm going to keep going with copper shovels because we've got quite a bit of copper and currently not really much of a use for it. And thankfully, this method of generating gold does still get you gold pretty quickly and is currently faster than us manually going and using the Orchid Ignium. And so let's just do another one of these. And thankfully, we only needed one more gold to get the dynamo here, because we just needed one more of the redstone flux coils. So we'll craft that, and then we'll craft the lapidary dynamo. And then right now we actually don't have that much lapis, but if we take one and we put it in here, it's going to produce power. Now, by default, it does only produce power at the same rate as the Sterling Dynamo. And we could use the Sterling Dynamo as well for this, but I feel like it's just more interesting to mix it up with something like the Lapidary Dynamo. The good news here is that we can make lapis automatically without the need to rely on our Orchid system. Because if we look at frozen lapis ore here, we can actually make it using the igneous extruder from thermal expansion at a cost of nothing, basically. You'll see what I mean in just a second here. If we go ahead and make ourselves an igneous extruder, this, again, fairly straightforward, requires a redstone servo, which is iron and redstone, along with some invar, some constantan, a piston, which should also be very doable, and then some glass. So right now, we don't have any invar, nor do we have any constantan, which is a real pain in the backside. And honestly, chat, it might be time for us to see about crafting up that induction smelter. Over in the lukewarm questline here, there is a quest to make an induction smelter, and this is going to make it just that little bit easier for us to make alloys in the future. Now, it in and of itself does require 2 invar gears, so we are going to have to make some invar the old-fashioned way, but everything else here should be pretty straightforward. Getting another blast furnace should not be too difficult. We do need yet another regular furnace for that. That's not going to be a problem. And we also need some more smooth stone. That is completely fine. We'll take 3 stone and drop that in the furnace here. While we wait for that to smelt, if we want to get 8 invar, we are going to need, I think, 6 iron and 3 nickel. We then need to pulverize all 9 of those and then craft those dusts together into invar dust, which we can then smelt into invar ingots. All right, so 2 iron and 1 nickel gets you invar, and invar, of course, smelted in, I think, the blast furnace should get us the invar blend. As per usual, we can make that just a little bit faster. Now, with our time in a bottle, let's craft up that required blast furnace, and as soon as we have 8 invar here, we can craft up the 2 gears and get us the induction smelter. The benefit of the induction smelter is that, unlike the way we're currently doing things, where we have to first pulverize the iron and nickel and then craft it and then smelt it, the induction smelter kind of just does all of that in one go. Oh, of course, I forgot there was a different recipe here for the machine frame. That is fine. Let's do one of those, and let's do one of these. Nice. So for the time being, I'm going to put that right here where the magma crucible is, because I have other plans for the magma crucible. Let's quickly grab one of the 800 iron pickaxes we made earlier in the episode and just replace the induction smelter. Again, the whole point is that hopefully by the end of today's stream, we don't have to keep moving the Sterling Dynamo around, but for the time being, if we do this, now if we want to make more invar, all we need to do is take a little bit of iron, let's say another 9, and a little bit of nickel, let's say another 3, and if we put both of those in here, that is going to slowly but surely just smelt those into the same amount of Invar. Again, we can make that faster with the time in a bottle, and we don't have to go through the rigmarole of pulverizing it and then crafting it and then smelting it. It just does all of that in one go. And then if we do the exact same thing with copper and with nickel, we can get ourselves the required Constantan as well, at which point we should have basically everything that we're going to need for this igneous extruder. I'm not going to do quite a full stack of this, but I might do a half stack actually, just in case we need more in the future. And so let's do this for the Constantan gear, and then that should be everything for the igneous extruder. It is. So we do need to find a place to put this down. I think what I might do actually is I might set up a little area behind the ladders here. So I think much like we did previously with the camouflage door over there, I might do a similar thing here where we get 2 more camouflage doors and make them look like this deep slate tile. So if we do something like this and like this, I would like potentially... No, this is fine. Let's do this, this, and this. How much deep slate do we have left? I don't think the answer is a lot. We got a little bit actually, but not tons. That's fine. We can always get more through mining if we want, or through using the frozen deep slate if we get really desperate for it. If we want to make 2 more of these framed doors, those are thankfully very straightforward. They just require these framed cubes, which again are super easy for us to make. Let's get 2 of these, and then let's go and put those down over here. So I think what we'll do is we'll have 1 here and 1 here, and we'll right-click both of those to make them look like deep slate, like that. And then once again, we can get 2 more of the framed pressure plates, which are not the same as framed trapdoors, Isaac. Make sure you get the right thing here. I want these guys. Give me 2 of those. In fact, give me 3 of those, because I do want to put one down over here. People have been complaining for a while that there isn't one on this side of the base. So just for symmetry, we'll do this, we'll do this, we will do... I guess this and this is fine, although I might end up changing those and these blocks as well to living wood planks if we have enough living wood planks to make that happen, which we totally do. Nice, okay, cool. So let's do this. Let's do that to get that correct. And then over here, I am going to swap these actually. I'll break this, and just for base symmetry, let's do this, 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 and then we do need 1 more plank to make that happen. Again, thankfully, we've got quite a bit of living wood, and by quite a bit, I mean surprisingly little, but enough to get the job done. So, boom, there we go, that is now complete. And basically, I'm going to dig out a little bit of space behind these doors here to place down the dynamos. Also, let's not forget torches, because it is exceedingly dark in here. I also do still remember that we have a charged creeper up on the floor above us. I need to keep that in mind, because if I forget, there's a very good chance that I die to this guy, which is not what I want to do. But I'm thinking that if we set up our power behind this ladder here, we can then very easily pump that power to any machines that we have in the wall here. And we can also very easily add more machines like the magma crucible like this. So we don't need to keep space for the Sterling Dynamo either, which I think is going to be quite useful. All right, so I've dug out a bit of space back here. Doesn't look the nicest at the moment, but we can always fix that in the future. Let's put our igneous extruder down right about here. And if we once again look at the recipe for frozen lapis, helps if you can spell, the frozen lapis here can be made in the igneous extruder if you have lava on one side, a block of lapis on the other, and then frozen deep slate underneath. And so we should have a bunch of frozen deep slate over in one of these drawers. We do indeed. I don't want that iron, but my Hopperhawk will grab it, and putting that underneath should be fairly straightforward. I am hopeful that we have some lava in the system, but if we don't, we can always grab some more either from the nether or down at the bottom of the world. Do we have any lava? We don't. Let's get a bucket and we'll go and grab some lava in just a second. And then as for a block of lapis, that is of course very straightforward, and thanks to our compacting drawers, we have all of that available in block and normal form. So we'll put down 1 block of lapis right about here, and then if we quickly go grab a bucket of lava, we can place that on this side of the igneous extruder here. All right, so a quick trip down to the lower levels of the world later, and we have the lava down, and you'll see here that this is just generating frozen deep slate lapis ore. And so if we can just tap that line of production into this pipeline here, we should be able to automate the production of lapis. The question really is whether or not we want to send the frozen lapis ore that we're generating here round into this room to be processed, or if we just want to have it processed in here. I think we might as well use the processing system that we already have, especially because I think we're generating a lot of mana and sending it into the mana pool that's up above the roof here, and we're not really using that much, so I think we could definitely send more. Even once we have all these online, I don't think we're going to be maximizing the use of our Exoflame. And so let's go ahead and grab ourselves a bunch of pipes. 37 should be more than enough. And then it's annoying that the pipes here don't have facades, because it would be easiest to just extract it from here and then go down. But then I don't really like having this just in the way. And unfortunately, we can't pull from the bottom either, because the bottom obviously has that frozen deep slate there. So the choice really is either up or on either side, and so I guess we're going to go on the side here, and then we're just going to have to cover it up after the fact, which I guess is fine. Let's dig down just a little bit, and then let's go see if we can't run this across and over into the pre-existing pipe. I will go a little bit off-center here, just so we don't have to break through the ladders, because we don't want the pipe running through there. We still want to be able to get down to our elemental craft room. Alright, so if we just pull this down and around, and then all the way along over to here, that should just connect up. And if we go and set the front end, the end over here, to extract, this should just work. So let's do... Oh, I used the wrench there by accident. That's not what I want to do. I want to do... That's fine. Let's set this to extract. That should start pulling that frozen lapis deep slate out, and should start sending it round into its respective storage drawer above its respective furnace, which is this one here. That is, of course, going to smelt it and produce lapis. Now, of course, what we could do here is we could take the frozen deep slate lapis and pulverize it first, and we definitely get a benefit from that. We get so much more lapis if we make that happen. So if we were to, for example, steal this pulverizer and place it down here, we could set the top of this to auto input. That's going to pull from the blast furnace, and we can set the bottom of this to auto output after we set it to orange, and that's going to push down. Now all we need to do is get power to here, which of course the first thing we need to do is actually generate some power. So let's take our lapidary dynamo here and let's move that. I was thinking of having the lapidary dynamos over in here, but that does kind of create its own set of issues, because then we do actually have to get the lapis into here, which shouldn't be too difficult, honestly. We could extract from either a draw controller or a draw controller slave, and the range is quite big. We're on Minecraft 1.19, so I think in the newer versions of storage drawers, you can put draw controller slaves like up to 50 blocks away. It's quite a large range, and so actually what we can potentially do here is make a draw controller slave, which is essentially kind of like another draw controller, but you can't have more than one draw controller in your network, so it's not the main controller, it's kind of a secondary controller. That might sound confusing, but basically what I think we can do is craft up some redstone torches, get 2 redstone comparators, and then get a controller slave. If we put the controller slave anywhere connected to the storage drawer system, which right now just means running trim over to it, we should then be able to extract, I think, the lapis from that drawer and send it to wherever we want it to go. So let's imagine that we do something like this. I'm going to have maybe 6 lapidary dynamos, 3 on this side, pointing... we'll have them pointing forward, I guess, actually, like that. We'll have 3 here, and we'll do 3 here. We need to get lapis into those, and that's what this bottom pipe is for. So if we go ahead and we put down a draw controller slave, let's say we put that down right about here, like that. We're going to set that to extract, like that. And we do want to make sure that we have a pipe upgrade that is capable of filtering, and so that is where we're going to want to get that diamond pipe upgrade from earlier. So for that, we are going to first want to smelt this, but then I am going to need to use that pulverizer that I've just placed in the other room. That's fine. We can always hijack that in a second. Let's go ahead and grab some more trim. Do we have any left in the system from the last time we did this? We do, but not quite enough. If we get loads more here, what we should be able to do is run this trim under the draw controller slave and connect it up to the pre-existing trim that we already have. So that pre-existing trim goes to here. What I think we will do is we'll go kind of down, we'll go across, down, and then we're going to run this in a somewhat janky fashion round to here, and we're going to have this run underneath as well. You can make framed trim, by the way, and framed trim you can customize to make it look how you like, so if you didn't want to hide this in the floor, you could make that happen. But I think all that we're going to do is run this along, around, and into here. So let's dig 2 down here, and that's going to allow us to dig until we find this area. Perfect. And then if we just do something like this, and of course make sure that we can get back up, we'll do that with cobblestone. There we go. Trim and trim. So now that trim should be connected. And so over here, this should be connected, and you'll see it's actually getting lapis. The lapis is being pulled out. The reason we don't need a filter currently is because there's already lapis in here. The only trouble with this setup is that right now, because there's no filter, it is going to pull anything out of our system that can go in the lapidary dynamo. And so there's a non-zero chance that if we don't filter it, and we just put down, let's say, another lapidary dynamo, that it could pull our diamonds out and use our diamonds for fuel, which is not really what we want. And so I do think it's probably going to be worth investing in, although one thing we could do actually, if we didn't want to waste the diamond ore that we had, is something similar to what we've been doing previously, and that is that we could grab a storage drawer. This one is full of snowballs, and so you know what, never mind, let's put this one back. Let's get a brand new storage drawer, and if we use that as a buffer, we can kind of use that buffer as the filter, if that makes sense. Give me my drawer key, and give me some lapis. I'm also going to take a drawer downgrade as well, because I don't want much of our lapis to be in this drawer. But basically what I'm thinking is if we move this drawer controller slave and we move some of the trim here, what we should be able to do is put a storage drawer here, lock that to lapis, put in the downgrade to make sure that it can only hold a maximum of 64 lapis, and then if we put the drawer controller slave here, what we should be able to do is extract from the drawer controller slave, like that, around into the drawer. And so now, if we extract here, that lapis is going to get moved up into the lapidary dynamo, and this drawer controller slave is only going to be able to send lapis up into the drawer because the drawer has been locked to lapis, and so now there's no chance of diamonds or emeralds or anything like that making its way into the lapidary dynamo and being burned for power, which is perfect. So this kind of just works. Of course, we do need to get more lapidary dynamos and kind of run those along on top here. And in fact, if we wanted to, we could kind of just go all the way along the top like this. Obviously, we don't want that to connect to there, but that's fine. We can disconnect that, and then we could just keep running this all the way over like that. And we could put as many lapidary dynamos as we like onto this. And the only other thing, whoops, that we need to do now is, one, kind of fix our wall here because it is a little bit broken, but then two, we need to get power to the pulverizer, this one in here, because right now this is not connected. Annoyingly, we don't have flux points, and so we can't use flux networks to wirelessly transfer power, so we are going to have to do that the old-fashioned way. Although one thing that we could do that I've not done before actually is we could use laser IO for power, because although right here we have used laser IO to move between two blocks are relatively close together, if you utilize the laser connectors, these guys right here, you can actually send power over much greater distances. And so let me make at least one more laser node. And then can I make another laser connector? I cannot because I'm out of logic chips. That is fine. Give me a few more of these tasty, delicious logic chips. Am I out of nether quartz blocks? I am out of nether quartz blocks. That is unfortunate. Did we not pulverize a bunch of nether quartz? Oh, we didn't. Okay, fine. Let me go back over to here. This is full. What I'm going to do is I'm going to temporarily swap out the lapis deep slate in there for nether quartz. And for hopefully the last time, I'm going to move this sterling dynamo over to the pulverizer just so that we can actually get some nether quartz to make this stuff work. You can use the wrench here to rotate the dynamo. Make sure it's facing the right way like that, and then we'll put the fuel back in. We'll give that a quick tap like that, and we'll give this a quick tap here. Chat is right here in that we don't need this blast furnace below the pulverizer because we don't actually have to smelt the lapis once it's done there, so I do need to change that. But before we do that, let me take this nether quartz, and I'm not going to forget about that nether quartz. I'll come back in just a second. Let's drop that into here. Let's drop the lapis into there. Let's make sure we don't waste any nether quartz if we can avoid it. That might have actually been picked up by our hopper hawk. The range is quite large. And there we go. We'll get 8 more of the raw logic chips, smelt those up, and that's going to get us the ability to make the connector. The idea here is that we can put down one laser node over here, let's say, and then we can put another laser node over on the back of the Sterling Dynamo, like this. Then we need to connect those together. To do that, we need a laser wrench. The laser wrench, thankfully, fairly straightforward if you have logic chips, which we do. And all we would normally do is shift right click on one of these and then right click on the other. And if they were close enough together, that would work. If they're more than 8 blocks apart, you'll see at the bottom there it says connection exceeds maximum range of 8. What you can do instead is you can use these laser connectors to kind of bridge the gap. So if I were to, for example, dig a little bit this way, I don't actually know how far away that other laser node is, but I think what we could do is put down a laser connector, let's say here, connect those together. So we shift right clicked here, right clicked here. Now if I shift right click here and go and right click over here, look at that, I'm actually maybe perfect. Is that an angle? I can't quite tell from the area I'm at. I think that might be going in a, oh, it might be going at a slight angle. I might be 1 block off, but either way, those are now connected. And so now if we go and we get 2 energy cards, which are these ones right here, again, fairly straightforward. If you have logic chips, which we do, let's take 2 of those. That does require redstone. Really, we've got no redstone. That is very unfortunate. But once again, we can actually put this redstone ore into the pulverizer to maximize our redstone ore returns. Let's also drop more of our junk back into there. And let's give that a quick tap with the time in a bottle here. Once we've got enough to make the block, we should be able to do, actually, I guess we can just put it all into here, and that should automatically craft the block for us. Boom, and boom, fantastic. These don't stack, that is fine. But what we can do now is we can right-click one of these, set it to extract. We're going to put that over in here, and of course, we're going to make sure that it goes in this side, which is west. Again, whichever side you right-click on is what it will open automatically, but you can swap once you're in here. So let's do this one, and put in the extract card, and then over in here, if we go to this side, which is east, and put in the insert card, obviously this is not correct because we actually want to move this dynamo, but if I were to go ahead and move this forward by 1, hopefully that is still within the range for the laser connector. We'll do this, we'll put the east energy card in, and then let's do this, and let's do... Oh, it's too far away! That is annoying. Let me try this. If we were 1 block away, that might do it. That's now too far away as well. Okay, that's fine. It's going to be a bit more janky, but I think if we do this, it should work. If I put it there, connect it. If I put it not there, if I put it here and do something like this and like this, that connects. And then now if I go over to here and right click on this guy, that also connects. And the power should be being sent from over there round into here, which is perfect. So let me take out some stuff here. Let me go and dump basically everything in my inventory to give us just a little bit more space. I'll put this mana weave armor away for now. I don't really see us needing that, at least not for a little bit. And what I'll also do is I'll grab some of this deep slate lapis because I don't really want it clogging up my systems. So we'll break this. I know I'm going to have to move this again now because I've moved this, but what I'll do is I'm going to put the pulverizer down right about here, like that. That way we can kind of keep this all organized and put a pipe here. We can make that disconnect, of course, so that we don't end up with anything in the pulverizer that we don't want. We can set that to extract. The top there is still set to input. That's fine. The bottom is still set to output. And if I'm not mistaken, this might already be set to extract. It's not, but we can make that happen. Fantastic. And so now it's just a case, finally, of moving this down to here, putting that again in the east side, reconnecting that up, and finally, we should have this power bit automated. And then what we can do from there is potentially look at getting some kind of energy cell, because what we don't want to have to do really is place a laser node on every single dynamo. Instead, I think what we'd prefer to do is have all of the energy from all of the dynamos pumping into one energy storage cell. This guy right here, much like we have in the Nether, and then we can just extract from that using the laser node to distribute the power around to wherever we want it to go. Alright, so I've just made another redstone flux cell, just the same as we did in the last episode for the one in the Nether. And again, I think I'm going to move this. We'll place the redstone flux cell probably like right here, and then we can put the laser node next to it right here. From there, we can once again make sure that's connected up with a shift right click here and a right click over there. And then if we put the extraction card in this side, that should extract from here. All we need to do now is make sure that the right-hand side here is set to output, which is orange, and basically all the other sides can be set to blue, to input. So now power is coming in from the lapidary dynamo, and it is being extracted out from the laser node round to where it needs to go. And then basically I think what we're going to do here is we're going to make a few more lapidary dynamos, and then we can use the energy pipes from the pipes mod to move that power from all of the dynamos into the cell. Again, we could use laser IO for that, but these laser nodes are quite expensive, and so making one for like every dynamo would be quite expensive, when instead we can just do something like this, and then we can just run any lapidary dynamos that we put down here and have all that power go into this flux cell, and we can kind of distribute it from there. And also, if we wanted to, we could do something like this and have, you know, power also be available to machines like that, and we could do the same. Whoops, I thought that hole was going to be a lot bigger there. I'm glad it wasn't. But then we could do the same for these machines as well, and we can kind of use the laser IO whenever we want to move power over a greater distance. That's kind of my thought process there. Let's do, I guess, something like this, and then we'll run that across to, we could do it to here, but I feel like we might as well use the cell as the buffer. We'll set it to output, and we'll do something like that. We'll make sure that's set to extract. Fantastic. And yeah, so now we can make more lapidary dynamos. I don't think they were particularly expensive. They're not really, no. It requires a fair bit of gold, though, which is really the only thing that we don't have. And so I guess what we've got two things we could do. I could stand here and use a bunch of snow trying to make this happen. But what I think I'll do instead is I will pivot over to actually generating power automatically in the Nether, because that is something else I want to get done. Before I do that, though, I'm just going to spend a quick minute kind of covering up some of the holes that we've just made in the floor. And although I'm not going to do a complete redecoration on this room just yet, I am going to fill in the walls and floor a bit just to make it look a little bit nicer. All right, so now that we have power here in the overworld taken care of, or at least on its way to being taken care of course we can put more lapidary dynamos down, and we can actually upgrade these lapidary dynamos to make them better, but currently power is somewhat automated, so we don't have to keep manually refilling a Sterling dynamo, and we don't have to keep moving it whenever we want to use any of our machines. We need to do a similar thing over in the Nether, and for the Nether, I think we're going to use a different dynamo. That being, well, like, we could use the same dynamo. We could kind of do a similar thing to what we're doing in the Nether, where we shoot like lapis through the portal and then go and grab it and put it into dynamos on the other end. But I think what we're going to do instead is try and use the magmatic dynamos from thermal expansion over in the Nether. Mostly because they're pretty powerful, but also because it is also kind of on theme in the Nether as well. We are up at over 700 iron now, so our system is chugging away here, producing iron for us, which is very nice indeed. Over here, we're going to get a little bit more invar to make this magmatic dynamo happen. And my idea here is that we're going to kind of cheese the fact that we can turn nether brick into lava at a very cheap rate. Over here, it takes 200 redstone flux to turn one nether brick into 100 millibuckets of lava, which means if we put 10 nether brick into a magma crucible, that is going to produce a bucket's worth of lava at the cost of 2,000 redstone flux. We can then take that lava and burn it in a magmatic dynamo for 100,000 redstone flux. So we get 50 times more power back than it costs to make the lava if we burn it in a magmatic dynamo, which seems pretty doable, especially because the nether brick here can be made by smelting netherrack, and netherrack can be generated automatically using a tier 2 resource generator. So let's go ahead and make another one of these tier 2 resource generators. For that, we do need another bucket of lava, and while we could go back down to the bottom of the world to make that happen, we could also just do what we're about to do here, take some netherrack, smelt that in here, give it a quick tap to make it faster, drop the glass away. I needed the glass for the leadstone energy cell. Once we have 4 of those, we can put that in here, and boom, we have not quite enough, because I forgot that we actually need 10 and not just 4 to make that happen, but we do still have almost 2 hours now in our time in a bottle, and so boom, look at that, a bucket of lava is ready to go. Let's grab 2 buckets from the system, 1 for water, 1 for lava, and that should be the next resource generator taken care of. It is indeed. And the only thing then that we're missing is a redstone furnace. Again, the redstone furnace is fairly straightforward here. We do have enough gold, thankfully, to make the redstone flux coil. Copper is thankfully not an alloy, and so it's fairly easy to make. The machine frame, again, very straightforward. We are producing currently more mana than this one block breaker system is using, and so we do have a full pool here that we can tap into for our machine frame. And then other than that, we just need 2 lots of bricks, which surprisingly we can actually do. Fantastic. Let me do something like this. Let's get 2 of those. We can put the rest back for now, and boom, there is our redstone furnace. Nice. So the magmatic dynamo is what we were making. Did we make that? I don't think we did. Let me get another invar gear and another redstone flux coil, and then that should be the magmatic dynamo taken care of. Nice. So we'll head on through to the Nether, and I think we have basically everything that we're going to need here. Actually, one thing we might need that we currently don't have is a fluid pipe. Again, thankfully, the pipes mod does come in handy here, and fluid pipes are very easy to make. We're going to use the fluid pipes to move lava from the magma crucible, which I do need to pick up. We're going to take this, and we're going to have that lava go from the magma crucible round into the magmatic dynamo, and then we'll also have the netherrack from the resource generator tier 2 going into the redstone furnace. We do need to take at least 1 netherrack with us, which apparently I used all my netherrack. That is foolish, but we can mine more in the nether fairly easily. And then in terms of the block we want to put above it, I think redstone turned out to be a pretty good block for speeding up the production of netherrack. We'll see if that's fast enough. If it's not, we can always look at faster blocks, but I think for now that should get the job done. I am going to real quick make sure that I take a second pickaxe with me, because this one right here is on 1 durability, and so it's not really going to last too much longer here. That is completely fine. We do need to take our mana weave armor off here. I had to put that on to go and get some sand in the overworld when we were making the energy cell. But real quick, let me steal 1 netherrack here. And I feel like we should... we might actually need to put the iron armor back on, actually. It's been a while since I last played this, but I think the nether is too hot by default, and the iron armor does have a cooling effect. I, for some reason, thought that it was the case that it was just the mana weave that was going to make us too warm, not the lack of iron was what was going to cause us to take damage. That is fine. Let's take our iron armor and stick that back on here temporarily, at least while we're working in the nether. Okay, so the basic idea here is that we're going to take lava from the magma crucible, and we're going to send that around over and into the redstone flux coil. So let's replace the sterling dynamo with the magmatic dynamo. Did I put the magmatic dynamo away? I did. That's fine. Let's put that down again like this, and let's use our wrench here to rotate that. It does appear that our energized errors are pulling power from the magma crucible here, so I might actually move that a bit further away, far enough that they don't actually pull from it. That's fine, because we can run the lava pipe really as far as we need to. We'll set the right-hand side there to orange, which is output. We'll set the left-hand to input. On the left-hand side is where we're going to have the redstone furnace. Here, we're going to set that to extract, and so that's going to pull lava to here. That's going to make power for the redstone flux cell. Over here, all we need to do is probably get another storage door. In fact, can we make one? Again, utilizing the crimson wood that we have in here. I am very confident that we can if we do this and this. We can indeed. Fantastic. That keeps it very nicely in theme. So if we do this with the resource gen tier 2 on top like that, we're going to put the netherrack on top of that like that, and then we're going to put the block of redstone above that again to make it even faster. Take it down from, I think it's 220 ticks to 90, and then we can lock this drawer to netherrack. We can place down an item pipe and extract that netherrack round and into the redstone furnace. For that, we need it to be set to input on the left and output on the right. Auto eject does want to be on, but auto input doesn't need to be. On this side, we want to have auto input on, pulling from this side. That's going to pull the nether brick automatically into here. And then we don't need auto output on because this pipe will already pull automatically. So we will use, I think, it's tricky here, I guess. We could probably do with more energy pipe, actually, because we do need to have some of the power go back around into the redstone furnace over there. So we need to set the back of this to output, and we do need to either be producing more power than the energized errors are using, or we need to set up a system that prioritizes sending power over to here. Temporarily, I'm going to do something like this just so that we can put in a bit of fuel. In this case, I'll use some wood here, and that's hopefully... Oh, I can't use that wood? I can't use any of this wood? You can't burn nether woods? Is that a vanilla thing? It probably is that I'm just not aware of. That's fine. Let me quickly head back. We'll get ourselves some more energy pipes, and we'll get some coal or something that we can burn in the sterling generator. All right, so we've acquired a few more energy pipes. Let's do this, and then here, let's do this. So that should start smelting the netherrack here, and that's going to get melted over here. Fantastic. That's going to produce power over here. It probably isn't going to be producing enough power, at least not currently, simply due to the fact that the energized areas here use quite a bit of power. Like, a lot of power is used on those guys, and if we keep an eye on the magma crucible, I guess we'll find out, because the magma crucible was at 6,800, now it's at 6,600, which makes sense. It cooked one piece of nether brick, but it looks like this is not getting its energy back. I don't know if you can do... I think we might be able to, you know. I think what we might be able to do, it's a bit of a janky setup, and the solution, of course, is to make a more powerful dynamo, because right now the 40 RF that we're generating per tick isn't particularly good. It's not good enough for the setup, but we can make that better in the future. What we can do potentially, initially, is if we go back to that diamond ore we got earlier, and if we run that through the pulverizer over here, we are also, by the way, going to have to set up a system that takes the sulfur and the gravel out, because those are byproducts of pulverizing lapis that we don't want to keep. We don't want to keep those around in the pulverizer. If we did, they would just kind of back up in the system over the long run. But if we finally craft up the advanced pipe upgrade, to do that we have to start with the basic pipe upgrade, easy enough, move on to an advanced pipe upgrade, which does require more gold than we have. That's fine. Let me get some more snowballs, and let's do a quick bit of snow crafting, enough to get us 4 ingots worth of gold. We can then upgrade that to gold, and then we can upgrade that to diamond, but then we run out of redstone. So my question then is, I guess, which brick is getting us the redstone? It is granite. And so what we can probably do to help us on that front is put this in here. That's going to get a bunch of frozen redstone for us, which should get smelted pretty quickly round in the back room here. And again, if we kind of hijack it and put it in the pulverizer, we can make that faster. One thing we should definitely do at some point in the not so distant future is look at setting up another pulverizer here for the redstone as well, just to get that little bit more out of every single ore that we get. Again, it's fine when you get big batches like that, but once we set up the item repairer for all of the ores, the redstone's going to be coming in, but it's not going to be coming anywhere near as fast as it did just then. And I actually don't even know if that's enough redstone or not. It was. Nice. Okay, that gets us an advanced item pipe upgrade. And then with that, over in here, what I think we should be able to do is potentially move the magmatic dynamo and move some of these fluid pipes. If we put the magmatic dynamo, let's say right about here, I am hopeful that we can put this down, set this to extract, put in the advanced pipe upgrade, like that, shift right click. And then right now it's set to round robin. That's not what we want. I want to change this to nearest first. And so because these two machines are the closest to the magmatic dynamo, they should get power first, and then only when these are full will the power try and go around into the redstone flux cell. So let's go ahead and break this stone dynamo. We'll stop that sending power over there. This should keep working, should keep producing lava. It should keep filling the power up of these machines, and then only as and when these machines are full will it then send power over to the redstone flux cell. We do want to make sure here that the back is actually set to input now and not output. And there we go. Look at that. Power is being sent there, but at the same time, these machines here are also filling up on power. Nice. So going forward, this is going to work, but it's obviously just not very fast. Going forward, we do need to get another block breaker and another block placer for the nether here so we can fully automate these ores. We also, probably both here and in the overworld, want to either get more dynamos so we can get more power, and also potentially make some augmentations to the dynamos that we do have to make them produce more power as well, to make all of this a lot faster and a lot more consistent, especially here in the nether, where right now we're not producing that much mana. But then again, we also could do with more of these energized errors in order to get more mana as well. So we got a bit of a chicken and egg problem over here because these do require diamonds. But anyway, that is a problem for future Isaac. I think also next time when we come back, we'll probably start looking at hostile neural networks, also known previously as deep mob learning, because that is kind of the next major quest line that we've not completed. Once we've worked our way through this and got ourselves some generalized ender prediction, we're not really too far away from being able to get the weather changer, get the weather catalyst, and complete the pack. And so there is now an end to the pack, and I really don't think that we're too far away from getting to that end. But again, that is a problem for future Isaac. For now, I'm going to go ahead and wrap up this episode of Frozenopolis there.